Welcome to Ready to be Romanced. I'm Tori.
I'm Sam.
And I'm Shelby.
And today we're discussing
the QB Bad Boy and Me. Oh, God.
That was probably horrific. I'll fix it in post. Welcome to the podcast. I'm so excited for you both to be here.
I'm excited.
Yeah,
I'm
me too.
Jumping up and down in my seat.
I know. Okay, me too. Because I just have so much. I feel like we, on this podcast, have been covering like relatively high quality books. But it's really fun to just like go through like a doozy.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think we get that over on the Rom-Complex a lot, where we're like, yeah, cinema, but also worst movie we've ever seen in our entire lives that we can't stop talking about. Yeah, so you've got to, it's about balance.
It's a balance, but like this one was so like, sometimes it's so bad it's good, but this one was just so bad it's bad. Like,
honestly, Tay Marley might be my enemy now after reading this book.
No, truly. So you tell us about your podcast, The Rom-Complex.
Well, on the Rom-Complex, we talk about rom-coms, obviously, but sometimes rom-droms or, coming-of-age romances. We branch out. And Sam and I talk about them and kind of use it as a lens of, or we use the lens of looking at our relationships in our life and figuring out what lessons we learned from rom-coms and sort of talking about them that way. But then we also just end up gossiping about the characters like they're real people, which is the other half of the fun.
So much fun. And I came on and we did Bring It On All or Nothing.
Yeah.
Was that the Hayden
Panettiere? Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Which such a good movie.
Iconic.
Like, it's so good. And actually, this movie, the dance scene, some of them kind of reminded me of that movie.
Yeah, you know what? I can see that. I think there is something about teens dancing that there's there's so many connections.
I was really like eager to like really close to fast forwarding in some of those scenes.
That's why you have to get like a Lego set or just something to do while you're watching these.
So true. It's like time to paint your nails,
right?
Put away your laundry, like something. Like
otherwise,
that.
You're cringing the whole time.
So you cover movies in particular, rom-coms, but what about your relationship to romance novels? I know, Sam, you read romance, but Shelby, do you read romance too?
I do. I mean, I read a lot of genres, but I would say romance might be like my third highest read genre, third or fourth.
Nice.
Depends if you count sci-fi and fantasy as one. But I love romance. I love to read it. I think a favorite of mine is Landline by Rainbow Rowell. So if you ever cover that one,
cool.
Message me. I especially love a romance that has some kind of element of like sci-fi or fantasy in there.
Yeah, romantasy.
Yeah,
yes.
Romantasy.
Exactly.
And Sam, what about you? What do you like reading?
I exclusively read romance, Tori. Listen.
Yes, I know.
You can tell by everything about me that all I read is romance. And I like it. I have considered, like, when people ask me, oh, do you read? And I'm like, yeah, I read quite a bit. There are times when I'm like, oh, I should have like a more reputable book to bring up than
totally.
Like a motorcycle romance novel. You know what I mean?
Yes.
A dark, reverse harem situation. No, I don't want to bring those up to people in public. But I read 75 books last year and they were all romance. So...
Yeah, I'm about the same as you, which is like, it's sometimes horrific because you're right. I like should toss in something else, but like at the same time, it's like really what I enjoy. And the romance genre has got me back into reading after like 15 years of not reading.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, my favorite romance author, who I think is really good at just like rom-com specifically, because obviously there's all these subgenres, is Emily Henry. I think when I first read one of her books, I read People We Meet on Vacation, which they are currently filming for.
Yes, yeah.
I read that book and I saw myself so like well in the character, and Emily Henry books are not like reinventing the wheel by any means, especially for the genre, but there is something still so like fresh about the changes she does make to the genre. So like we keep the style but also add a few little surprises in there, and you're like, hell yeah, like characters going to therapy before they get together. What? Crazy.
Yeah, totally. And that makes total sense, because she is like that. You would like her because, and I do too, I do feel like she is like a modern day rom-com. Like she could, which is why all of her books are becoming movies, is because I feel like all the rom-coms that we grew up with, this is just like the adult version of that.
Yeah, it's like she's the Nora Ephron of the 2020s. You know, make them all into movies, please.
So, spoiler warning, we're going to be discussing the book The QB Bad Boy and Me and its movie adaptation. So, spoilers ahead. And I also want to give a content warning off the top, because like I never read trigger warnings, even if this book had one. I listened to the audiobook, so it didn't. And then I'm always shocked when there's actually like real life like fucking shit in the book. So I want to say we won't linger on these things, but there is going to be mentions of a child being murdered, and then teen pregnancy, and someone dating a minor.
And not like a coal miner. Like
yes, like an M-I-N-O-R minor.
They're all lots of children trigger warnings.
Yeah, a lot of children having sex. Which
Yikes.
was right off the bat one of my biggest gripes and grumbles, is just like, why didn't you age up these characters? Like,
literally putting them in adult situations and then being like, yeah, it's a teen club, you know, for teens.
Yeah, like an underage club and stuff like that. I was like, why don't they just meet in their last year of college or something like that? It made no sense to me. But the book was written by Tay Marley. It is a Wattpad original, and it was published October 15th, 2017, which you can totally tell with all of the music references.
There are so many. I laughed every time because they would literally go, we were listening to blah, 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 the blah, blah remix by so-and-so.
Like, so specific. I was like, I don't care that you're listening to Imagine Dragons.
No.
Like, it's so bad. But we meet our protagonist, Dallas, who is at cheer practice. She's a high school senior living in Castle Rock, Colorado. And she's on the cheer team because she wants to become a dancer, but her school doesn't have a dance team. So she thinks that this will kind of meet that requirement. And she lives with her older brother, who is her guardian because her parents passed away. Intro the other protagonist, who is Drayton. Which is a horrific name.
So let me bring you to the first note I wrote down, which is just the name Drayton. Because when I saw the name Drayton Leahy, I was like, that cannot be real. You did not type that and think that sounded good.
No, it's so bad. Have you ever met a Drayton?
No. I don't think that name exists. But funny
that's
thing
fine.
is,
make up a name. That's okay.
The thing is that, and that's how you know we're in a Wattpad, right? Because I feel like I didn't read a lot of Wattpad when I was super young. Like I tended to gravitate more towards like Harry Potter fanfic and, you know, that kind of stuff on AO3. Yeah. But like I did read some One Direction fanfic on Wattpad, and I feel like anytime I read a new story on there, it was always like a competition for like who can make the most ridiculous name for their main character. Like I think of another book that was adapted from Wattpad, which was After, and they changed his name because it was a Harry Styles fanfic, which I did read back when it came out. They changed his name to Hardin Scott.
It's so bad.
It's like a competition. They're like, hey, how can I make the male like love interest character the most ridiculous name in the history of names? I just
don't get it, because like, why don't, like, obviously you don't want like a Chad or a Brad or whatever, but like you could totally have a Ben,
a Colin,
like, a Dylan.
Yeah, just right.
I love me a Dylan.
Yeah. I don't get it. Like, I truly don't get it. Like, it was just hard to read, like, because I just could not take it seriously right off the bat. But I have to give this girly credit. She was probably what, like 20 when she wrote this, 15? I don't know. Like,
no. That
we
is
have
not
tea.
true.
We looked it up.
Oh my God, please tell me. I tried to do some research and I could not find this.
I think she was like, maybe she was like 20, early 20s, because she's like 27 now, right?
She's only 27,
I think she's
so this was...
I thought she was like 30. I think she's
okay,
30.
maybe she was 27 when she wrote it.
Hold on, now I have to like...
Now we have to get because she's our enemy.
Yes.
Because I remember being very surprised at...
By her age.
By the
age.
age.
This was published in 2017. So
she's 32.
Okay.
32, so then that's 8 years ago.
24.
Yikes. No.
Yeah.
And, well, here's the thing that this reads very much like when I was 13 writing fan fiction and you're publishing a chapter at a time. So is that how it worked on Wattpad?
Yeah.
Or did this all come out at once? Okay, chapter at a time. Makes sense.
Usually chapter at a time. Sometimes they would like batch upload or like, you know, get a couple chapters in, but normally it was like...
Which, again, not to like even... We haven't even got to the fucking characters yet, but like...
Just straight in.
Just straight in, but like, okay, like... Why was this book 400 pages? I guess when you do chapter by chapter, you like can't look at it as a whole.
Yeah.
And delete some. And I guess you want to like keep your audience coming back. But I was like, holy shit, this could have been a 200-page book.
Yeah. Well, it got published. So there was an editor who could have, you know,
at some point
made cuts.
Was there?
Because,
because I ran into many things that I don't see how an editor would have let slide. Not like spelling stuff, just like stuff where it's like, that is not how things work in America.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. There was something that I wrote down.
Was it about homecoming? Because that was my big gripe.
No, there was something that was like so crazy. Oh, it was when the family said goodbye at the airport gate.
At the gate.
Yeah. That's
right.
it.
That pissed me off because it's like, was this written in 2000?
Yeah.
Was
right.
this pre-2001?
Pre-9/11, yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy. Also, my first big gripe that I sent a really long, rambly voice note to Shelby about was that at one point they're like getting on the bus for the away game. And they're like, the teacher or somebody gets on, they're like, hey guys, just because you won't be at school when this announcement happens, but homecoming's being delayed an extra week or something, right? And then someone's like, that's after the last game. And I'm like, what? No, homecoming is the beginning of football season, not the end of... Do you think football ends in October? No.
It's so bad.
An easy fact check.
An easy fact check from an editor that killed me, or the author themselves.
No fact checking here, because we even start out where Dallas, the main character, is describing herself as a curvy girl.
Oh my God! And then she talks about how thin and tiny and frail and
her friend is. But the thing is, Dallas is a flyer for the cheerleaders. You're not either. You're a flyer or you're curvy.
Can't be both.
You have one or the other.
I just remember like when they start hooking up, she would be like, he's hugging me, and I like was like disappearing in his arms because I was so skinny. I was like, okay, girl, like.
Literally. There were just so many, like the fact that they get a hotel room and they're both under 18. Well, like he might be 18, but the likelihood that they wouldn't like ask for your ID, like, no.
I didn't even think of that.
No way. Also, this person has never been to Los Angeles because they think that like they can just take hour-long Ubers places, and they think Panorama City is in between CalArts and UCLA. Wild.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they're just like, let's whip over to Hollywood to go to the Walk of Fame and stuff
just
like that.
Quick dip down from Santa Clarita or wherever it is, wherever CalArts is.
Wild. I love it.
It was so crazy. But the cheer practice is happening obviously at the same time as football practice, and Dallas catches a rogue ball that the football captain threw, which is obviously Drayden. This is like the first time I'm saying that name aloud, and it is painful.
You know what? I like doing it with an extra emphasis on the T. It makes it more ridiculous. Drayton. I like to call him Drayton.
And they call him Dre a lot in the book, which is a name I've heard.
Yeah, that's better. That's a lot better. And she throws it back, and he's immediately impressed because girls usually can't throw footballs.
Yeah, I've never met a girl who could throw a football, so
he's shocked. She doesn't know who he is, even though it sounds like she's gone to this school the whole time.
Yeah.
He's also like the captain of the football team, and football is everything at the school. So that didn't make sense. And then she's like, I'm taking econ with this guy, and then they have 0 scenes or 0 mentions of economics ever again.
Yep, because that was in the first chapter, and Tay was like, well.
Never went back to like verify what was going on. Never at all.
Because I just thought when she mentioned that, I was like, oh, cute, we'll get like a cute tutoring scene, or like yeah, he's teasing her in class. Yeah, they're partnered together or something like that. No, absolutely nothing.
No return to Chekhov's economics class.
yeah, exactly. So after practice, Dallas is shocked because someone has hit her car. And so she like drives home, and she's worried because she like, it's just her and her brother. They don't have a lot of money to spare. And she's shocked to find Drayden at her house. And he admits that he hit her car, and he is paying her cash to go get it fixed.
Yeah, so
and then he stays for dinner.
And in the movie, you can see that it's like, because in the book, it's like, it was hundreds. And then you could see in the movie, it was like 20s. I was like, well, I guess it was her mirror, in the movie.
But also, I just love how he breaks them in the movie. He breaks the mirror on her car. And then everyone acts like she can't still drive it.
I know. That was so funny. Josh was like, I'll drive you to dance practice or whatever. I was like, literally just
get in your car. Like, you just have to like maybe roll your window
some
down.
Duct tape, babe. Like,
yeah, exactly.
My mirror looked like that for years.
Totally.
Yeah.
100%.
So her brother in the book is like a football coach for a different school.
Yeah.
Which is funny because in the movie, they had to change so much to make sure the characters actually overlapped in a reasonable way. Because it's not there in the book. There's like no reason for Nathan and Drayton to interact except for this.
Totally. And he is so cavalier of just like, oh, do you want to stay for barbecue and beers? Even though, again, they're in grade 12. And like,
wild.
He's like, oh, well, like, I would offer that to any of your friends.
He's a cool guardian.
I guess maybe if you have like because Nathan's supposed to be like 25, right? So maybe the 25-year-old brother is like, oh, she's 17, she can drink a beer, like
I guess that's true.
But you still don't do that to her friends. You don't give the friends beers. That's not how it works.
Unless they're like staying over. That was kind of my thing in high school. Like if I had friends who were staying over, then they could have like a drink. Because my parents were cool. I drank before I was 21, so
I did too, but not with my parents.
Oh.
I think actually at my grade 12 graduation, I think it was the first time that they bought me like a 6-pack of coolers. For,
I love that. Happy graduation.
Yeah.
And they kind of have like this like enemies to lover or like, I don't know, quarrel going on where they're just like, she just like doesn't have the time of day for him because he's, you know, the loud jock, and she is really focused on getting into Cal Arts.
I just want to bring up that she's really in the book. It makes more sense in the movie. In the book, she talks about how, like you mentioned, she's a cheerleader because the school doesn't have a dance team. She never goes to a dance class.
In the book, yeah.
She never, there's never a scene in which she's putting on her warm-up outfit to do nothing.
Or practicing.
Okay, no, that actually fucking killed me. That was one of my wonder whys, because I get it. Like, if you needed an extracurricular at school, cheer, be like, that's very dance heavy. Like, I totally get that. But why, in addition to that, wouldn't she be going to a local dance studio?
Exactly. So they solved that problem in the movie, but it like actually took me a minute where I was like, has she ever even gone to I was like pretty deep into the book, and I was like, wait, she's never gone to practice, or you don't see her doing the stuff outside of dance. Because I know, I went to school for theater, so I'm friends with a lot of people who are dancers, and they would take like yoga classes or like all these like additional like tangential
like conditioning
things. Exactly. Yes. Never a moment. She's just a dancer, and we're supposed to believe her.
That was insane to me. And Drayden has a nickname for her, which is Cheer. What do you think about this?
So creative. Wow. But the thing is, that could apply to literally any of the cheerleaders. So why is he acting like this is a special nickname for her, especially when he regularly interacts with all of the cheerleaders?
I know, but he doesn't call any of them
Cheer.
No, because why would he? This is honestly, like, in romance novels, this is kind of the make or break, and it's the nickname. Truly, because sometimes it's just like mid, right? It's nothing to write home about. You're like, okay, yeah, like it's fine. But sometimes they're really bad. Like, I've read some really bad nicknames that make absolutely no sense, but there's like one scene where they try to make it make sense, and you're just like, you're trying far too hard to get this nickname to stick.
No, like, why did a book I read, it was Lamb?
Oh.
It was Lamb.
Was he a lion? I don't understand.
Is it kind of Twilight?
Is it Twilight?
And so the lion fell in love with the lamb.
Maybe it was Twilight inspired, but I was like, I'm actually was like, I should do a episode on ranking like
nicknames.
Worst nicknames.
Oh yeah.
I read this would be on the list.
Yeah. I read one once where it was literally, she already had a nickname, and it was like a nickname on top of a nickname. And I was like, why are we doing this?
What's the point?
We only need
nickname inception.
Yeah. Because then there's always the moment, right? Well, in maybe not YA like this book, but there's always the moment in like romance novels where the main character stops, like when it's a serious moment, maybe it's like the first time they're like really intimate with each other or something, that they stop using the nickname and they use their real name to show how important it is.
So
it's like,
serious.
But now I'm confused. So is like her first nickname the vulnerable name, or like then we're gonna move to her real name, and then the second? I was like, there's too many names in play here. We need to take one out.
Agreed. And in the movie, she calls him quarterback, which I thought that was cute, because I was like, that makes sense. That's like a standalone position.
She made it make sense. Yeah.
Yeah. But Cheer is just so fucking funny.
Yeah. He should have called her, hey, flyer.
Right. And also in the movie, she's not a flyer. They don't have those at their school because it's dangerous. Like, I don't think in my high school the cheerleading team didn't do flying tricks.
Yeah, so that's like really, really intense.
Yeah.
They weren't Bring It On all over.
No, it's more dance based. So like
they weren't the Toros.
And that's also the thing. If she's a dancer, why would she be a flyer? There's no.
Oh yeah.
I didn't even put that together, but you're a genius, Shelby.
That makes sense.
Additionally, no sense. So she gets her car fixed, and she approaches Drayden at the next football practice to give him the remaining money, and he like totally blows her off, makes a really rude comment about how she's flexible like in front of the guys, and it's very Grease, like it's very like
yeah
he's like a dick but not to me type of situation.
And Drayden's the kind of guy where he loves to be like, if someone says something like, oh, I'm so, I so sweaty or something, he'll be like, oh, I know how to make you even wetter or something like that. You know, he'll always like, he's always ready with like a sexual quip.
He's ready with and that's what she said kind of.
Yeah, he's that kind of guy.
He's Michael Scott,
but like in an insane way. Because like I liked in the movie, there was like, I think he did it in the movie Noah Beck too. There was like one time where, I don't know, he caught something and he was like, I'm good with my hands too, or something like that, or like, I don't know, something like that. Like, and I was like, okay, like that seems like appropriate, or like not appropriate for high school, but like this whole entire time I was like, am I like a virgin freak?
Yeah,
like
apparently we all are, because but and I was not fucking in high school, like that's just not what something. It's not something that's going on. No. I get it that people are having sex during high school. Again, wasn't in my cards.
No.
But like, I feel like it's not like this.
No. Well, that's what I said to Shelby on the way to brunch yesterday. I was like, listen, I understand that teens are horny, but they are not horny the way this book writes that they're horny.
Exactly.
It's like very different.
Like, you're not telling a girl that like to be wet or something like that in high school.
No.
Like,
you're also not swiping on Tinder to hook up with people in high school. That's what high school is for. You hook up with people in high school.
I know. I was like, Tinder is for like even I wouldn't even. I guess when I went to university, it was pre-apps, but it's like I wouldn't have even used apps in college, because it's like you just hook up with your classmates or your dorm mates or like whatever, and you don't need apps. It's like nowadays, like post grad is when you need apps. I feel like
that's when when I was in school, there were no apps in existence. It didn't happen until like a couple years after I graduated. But like, the whole point of something like Tinder is because you're no longer in situations in which there's a large group of
dating
your
pool.
Own peers that you can date. Yeah. Totally. So you have to manufacture it with technology. But I'm just like, there's no... like, who is she matching with as a high school fucking senior? 17 years old. Creeps, probably.
She was like, I like go out of town and like hook up with these randos.
Is she a sugar baby? I don't.
But then we also never see her doing that. Yeah, like before she gets with Drayton. So it's weird.
It's super weird. And this continues to get weirder because they go, her and her best friend Gabby go to an all ages club opening called Illusion, and. Again, it reminded me so much like, yes, this is a Wattpad book. Yeah. Because in high school, this is all I wanted to be doing. Going to a club, hooking up with guy, like, and it wasn't happening for me.
So an all ages club is not something that adults would go to. Because I remember when I was a kid, there were like there was like a teen club, but it was specifically for ages, 13 to 17. It was not all ages. Yeah. You're not going to have teenagers there. And if you did, 21-year-olds aren't going to go hang out there.
No.
The pedos will. Yeah.
They will.
The ones who want the children, sure. And that's not safe. That's a liability.
Because they were like drinking, right?
Like they made it seem like they were pre-gaming because they wouldn't have access to alcohol at the club, but then it seemed like they did have access to liquor at the club. So I was like, I don't understand. And can we talk about the fact that this club was an hour plus
and
away
a
from
half away, yes,
from their house, and they were just gonna Uber?
They were gonna Uber. That's not something you do. You don't take an Uber an hour and a half.
No, you really don't.
And like,
even if you're
how
splitting
small
it,
is Castle Rock, like.
Right.
Or like, this is when, because I did go to parties like in high school that were a little bit of out of town, not an hour and a half, maybe like 30 minutes or something like that. Yeah. But someone would just suck it up and be the DD. Like there was always someone that had like church or sports or like something the next day, and they had to be sober anyways, and they would DD. Like, I don't know.
It makes no sense.
I want to have a moment to talk about poor Gabby, who I think gets the the worst deal out of this book.
Yeah.
Starting immediately, because Tay Marley does this thing that I hate where she'll like, if characters aren't white, she's gonna describe their skin color so much. Yeah. And it's weird to me. It's off-putting. So she, of course, is describing Gabby's skin constantly. And then poor Gabby also apparently, this is in the book, loves to do Dallas's homework. So much that Dallas does not even feel bad giving Gabby her homework to do.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. That was fucking weird. She also, hooks up with like a rando that had a girlfriend and gets punched in the face. And then again, spoiler alert, gets fucking pregnant and keeps the baby.
It's like wild.
Know who, unfortunately, this really reminded me of is Lane Kim from Gilmore Girls.
Oh, right. Like it's almost like they don't know what to do with you aside from being like the quirky non-white best friend. So you just kind of put them in the worst possible circumstances you can to be like, look how funny they still are, even with all this going on.
She has a boyfriend that made out with her, like her best friend. And then the best friend's boyfriend asks her boyfriend, who's the better kisser?
Yeah.
And the boyfriend can't even answer that it's his current girlfriend.
And they make it seem like that's a thing. Because, like, yeah, this Josh is dating Gabby, right? And he has made out with Dallas. Why couldn't he just be like, my girlfriend is the better kisser? Because he's like, if I say that it's Gabby, then Dre, you'll be mad that I said your girlfriend wasn't a good kisser. That's not how it works.
No, that was
mind
insane.
you, she was heavily pregnant during this scene. Yeah. She was heavily pregnant, and he couldn't even be like, yeah, the woman who's about to deliver my child is the better kisser.
I just like, and again, I don't want to jump too far ahead, but it's like, I just don't get what the point of that storyline was, because there was no payoff. I was like, oh, maybe there's a sequel or something like that, and it's whatever the fuck, Gabby and Tim.
There is a sequel.
What's it called?
No, I read it. There's a sequel with Gabby. You want to guess who her love interest is?
Just wait, it's not. I thought I saw a prequel. I didn't even see that there's a sequel.
No.
This, I think, was on Wattpad, so it was before that was published as a book. So Gabby's name was different in the original thing. It was like Spencer or something.
Okay, you did the research that I did. Really did. I love you for this.
So I really need you to know that in the sequel on Wattpad, Gabby gets with Nathan, the brother.
With the child, though?
Yep,
or like
she's got a daughter. Tay Marley, I'm coming for you.
Oh my god, that's insane. And this actually makes sense because that book is still just on Wattpad. It never got like pubbed because when I was looking this up, there was no like official sequel, and it's because you're right, it's on Wattpad. That is absolutely insane.
Yeah. She told me that, and I was like, I was by the end of this book, I was like, justice for Gabby.
Justice for Gabby.
Because
absolutely.
Like, also there's like that whole, I know we keep jumping, but there's that whole bit where she's like, she doesn't want to tell Dallas that she's going to community college because everyone, and then she's like, you guys keep asking me where I'm going to school. They've never, not once. Never, not a single time.
Literally. And why would they care? Because they're leaving. So why would they care that she's staying at home?
They're like, oh my God, you're so smart. You have to go to like a smart people college. And she's like, I'm staying local because I love my boyfriend and I didn't want you to get mad at me for choosing people over my future.
Maybe a boyfriend, yeah, sure, that's a little crazy. But she also mentioned like her like she was like, I want to stay close to my family, and I was like, that's actually like not like that's not unreasonable. Like,
yeah, it's just so funny that they make it seem like Dallas has been badgering her about it, and I'm like, where
we didn't, but that like happened in the movie too.
Yeah,
where she just was like non-existent in the in the last half.
Yeah.
Justice for Gabby.
Justice for Gabby. Gabby in the movie was really cool. I liked that actor a lot. I think she was actually better than the lead.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Gabby leaves with Tim from this club, and it has like a one night stand. I was like, this is crazy. Like, this just wouldn't have been me. She's like, are you gonna be okay getting a ride home? And then she's like, yeah, for sure. She like calls an Uber. I think it takes too long, or it doesn't come, or it cancels, or whatever. So she like starts walking, and Drayden like fake mugs her.
Oh my God.
Ridiculous.
This, I don't know why I'm doing the book like I was reading, because I did listen via audiobook, but I was like, I literally was screaming at this, because I was like, and he was like, that was just to prove that like it's really dangerous to walk home at night. And I was like, and you scared her,
like scared to death, like scared. She thought she was gonna get assaulted or murdered or something. And he was like, see, like.
Yeah, but he like pulls her and like covers her mouth and pulls her into an alley, and then he's like, just wait. And then some creepy guy walks by, as if like a creepy guy was following her. And so Drayton pretends to mug her so that she can be like, see what could have really happened.
No, it's like, why didn't you just go, hey, there's my girlfriend or whatever, like,
right.
Glad I found you.
The guy from continuing to follow her. It's so crazy, because listen, I've been known to read a bully romance or two, which are extremely
me too.
problematic to the highest degree. So bad.
100%.
And even I read this and was like, this is fucked up.
Yeah.
This is so fucked up. Yeah. I don't understand. At first I was like, how the fuck is he going to rationalize this? Like, this is insane.
Well,
even his rationale is insane, frankly.
Dallas also is maybe the stupidest person of all time. So, that comes up later. We'll get there.
Yeah, but none of this is like making any sense. Drayden's like, I'll give you a ride home. She like finally accepts after arguing for like a million years, and he takes her to his house because she's drunk and he wants to look after her. And he lives in a huge house, and he takes her to her bedroom, and he's like, I'm not gonna, like, she's like, this is a ploy to like get me in bed and stuff like that. He's like, I'm not gonna have sex with you. Like, I don't like have sex with drunk girls. And then he immediately like flips her over and pretends to kiss her just to show that he could have done it. And I was like, this again is just like low-key horrific.
It is, because it seems like the idea is that they are into each other and he can tell she's into him, but she doesn't want to pursue it because she's like, I'm busy. I only care about getting into CalArts.
I only fuck guys on Tinder.
Right. I can't know people. I have to just have like a nameless hookup. But he's like, I can tell you're like sexually into me, and she is, and it's just like, why don't you just hook up? I mean, that's the whole story of the book, is like, why don't you just hook up?
Why don't you just hook up?
No, that's a really good point. Then why don't they just have casual sex then?
Yeah.
Because she knows she'll fall in love
with him.
Yeah, of course. That's the reason for everything. But it's just like, it's also so funny because I know, like, I think Tay Marley, she thought she ate with this, right? She thought she was like, oh, it's 2017. I'm ahead of my time. Like, he's waiting for consent. He knows that because she's drunk, she can't give consent, blah, blah, blah. No. You did not eat with this one.
No. Also, they have sex when she is extremely drunk at his birthday.
Yeah.
So I was like, so again, he like, or like the author went back on what she had written.
Well, she forgot, and she never went back and read it.
It was in the early chapter, yeah.
But I do like the way that they handled this in the movie more than
I really liked that. Even though he should have taken the chaise, and she should have got the bed. But I did like, he was like, just because I'm a jock doesn't mean I don't know what consent is. And I was like, our consent king.
Yeah.
So the book was called like The Bad Boy QB in Me, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's not a bad boy in the movie at all, not one single bit. And I think
he
they
tried to smoke a single cigarette.
Shelby, he rides a motorcycle.
Oh, right. I'm so sorry. I forgot about that.
Get with
He
the program.
wears a necklace and a ring and a leather jacket. Like,
Right, of course. All the hallmarks of being a bad boy.
Oh god.
I know. He's like the star athlete and like
It's just that the idea that he's a bad boy mostly comes from the fact that he has tattoos. Which also how does he have them?
that was another thing. I was like, and like there was always that one kid in high school, I feel like, that had a tattoo. But like, again, like in the book, she was describing like a full like sleeve tattoo.
right.
Yeah. And I was just like, that is once again insane.
Just not a thing that happens to
No.
teenagers.
No. But I will say the tattoo in the movie was way better than whatever the fuck Tamar really described in the book.
Yeah, because the tattoo
it was like a winding road
It's a
with like
road.
children on it or something.
A boy and girl holding hands.
And walking into a sunset.
Right, and with like little things she describes later. There's like little things scattered along the road, which are like little memories,
Like a football.
Right.
God forbid. You can't forget the football. Oh god. But I do think, like I said, I think the movie handled this scene better, and I did think like it didn't feel as skeezy when he's like leaning in to turn off the light, and it's
Yes,
very,
yeah.
you know,
that
it's
was
less
very
about
rom-com.
Yeah.
Yes, it's less about like it is still proving a point, but not as like rude as it is in the book.
So the next day, Drayden drives to her home, and we find Gabby with the black eye. And I feel like people were way too cavalier about this, but like, and moved on extremely quickly. Like,
Sam, if you came to me and told me some bitch punched you in the eye, I would be like, where is she?
Where is she?
Yeah.
Find her immediately.
I'm already Googling it, finding her location.
yeah, 100%.
But also, they establish that Gabby has an overbearing mother.
Yeah.
And it's,
Lame.
again, she just comes home with a black eye. I mean, we never see it, obviously. But she just shows up one day with a black eye, and her mom was just like, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, just accepted
Casual.
the excuse that
Dallas, like, accidentally
Dallas kicked her at cheer practice or whatever. Like, that is just, it's so weird. And then again, never heard about it again.
Nope.
Or like the trauma that would come
Not
from
at
getting
all.
hit by someone.
No, really, this just sets it up as like, we need to find someone for Gabby, basically.
Right,
Is like
right,
what it turns
right.
into.
Right, because the next thing that happens, well, actually, Josh hooks up, like asks Dallas out, but then eventually Dallas will tell Josh to ask Gabby out.
Like, I know that has happened in real life where,
Yeah.
like, you go on a date with a guy and you're like, actually, you're really cool.
You would be good for my friend. Yeah.
Right, 100%. But it's more so that the idea wasn't Dallas's, it was Drayton's.
Yeah.
Drayton was like, you know what? No, you're not going to date Josh, actually. Maybe you should hook him up with your best friend.
Totally.
Drayton is so immediately upset over Josh showing attention to Dallas. It's like, why didn't you guys talk about this? Because Josh is basically his brother. Like, he lives with him.
That also pissed me off because they've obviously interacted, and everyone can tell that Drayden is obsessed, like they're both obsessed with each other.
Yeah.
So that also made no sense that he asked her out. It also made no sense that he was living with him. Like, it was just like, okay, so you lived in Colorado and then your mom got a job in Canada, and then he was like, I don't want to move to Canada, so I'll just stay here. Like, again, I know that happens, but like,
It does make sense as far as like, it's his senior year of high school, right? So he's like,
True.
well, I'm just gonna live with Drayton's family for this year to finish up high school here instead of
True.
transferring to Canada school.
True.
But you know what?
For senior year.
Tori, you bring up a great point about this book in general. Tay Marley overcomplicates everything. I sent another long rambling voice note to Shelby just about the fact that there is so much trauma between these two characters. She had her parents die, and then her grandma who's looking after her, she also died, and now she only has her like tragic backstories for all of them when they don't need them. We don't need, like, people can just die. We later have like the whole thing with Drayton and his grandpa who died in a fire. Why?
I don't even remember that. I straight up don't remember.
It's literally about the whole like, oh, he has to go to Baylor University bullshit, and it's like before his grandpa died in a fire. Like
in a fire.
Yeah. And he promised the dad that
he could just be old. Why couldn't it have been a promise on a deathbed for an old guy who's dying? You know what I mean?
100%.
Like, so much trauma for no reason. But yeah, she just overcomplicates everything.
So much.
In Tay Marley's world, people don't die from like illness or old age. It's only from murder and house fires and things like that.
Accidents. Totally. You're right. She overcomplicates things. It's like Josh could have just been a friend, or maybe he was like, I'm sure football teams have billets. Like in Canada, if you are really good at hockey, you might live with another family in another city.
Right.
Like billeting.
Oh, I didn't know that was a thing.
To play for that school.
Or he could have just been his brother.
Yeah, his brother or his friend. Like he had no reason to live. Like there was no point in him living at that house. Like it was so weird.
Yeah.
But she takes him up on it. This was also weird. She's like, I won't date. But actually, you know what? I will date you.
Yeah.
I'll go to the after party with you after the football game. And of course, they win every single game in this book. Yeah. There's no highs and lows of high school football. It's just highs. And Drayton is obviously immediately mad at her, not Josh, for going on a date together.
And Dallas does make it clear to Josh. She's like, I don't do like date stuff. It's just like casual. And he's like, I'm cool with casual.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I'm sure you are.
Right.
Like, Jesus Christ. And they end up kissing. They go back to Drayton's house, but they don't do anything more. And while Dallas is leaving to walk home, Drayton arrives on his motorcycle, and he's like, oh, he didn't like offer, like, you can't walk home alone. And we do figure out why he has such a issue with girls walking home at night, after parties in particular. But yeah, it was, again, you could have cut like fucking all of this shit. Like, this is the second time she needs a ride home from a party. Like, just cut one of these scenes. Like, yeah, please, Tay Marley, please. I am begging you.
Please,
can't, because it comes out one chapter at a time.
Yeah, you're right. But the editor.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm telling you, you guys, this book wasn't as bad as I thought it was gonna be. Like,
it's so funny to me too that we spend, because you're right, I think this book could have been 200 pages, like a tight 200, because there are so many times, and I've expressed this to Shelby as well, so many times in which the descriptions of certain things is so unnecessary and it takes up so much space. There's a part where she's describing the hotel room they go to stay in.
Every single fucking hotel
She's like,
room.
it has a gym and a pool. I'm like, what are
Literally.
you doing?
And it's not even artistic. It's not even like, oh, the hotel atmosphere made me aglow with a feeling of the warm yellow light, whatever. But she literally described a plate of nachos by being like, there was sour cream and tomato and of course a pile of chips, and no descriptors whatsoever, just straight up giving you the ingredients of a nachos.
No, when she does her Cal Arts interview, she literally describes, she's like, there was 2 twin beds with one bedside table in between and two other chairs, and I was like, I want to kill myself.
But then she also says that there's only a little bit of space between the beds and like the whatever, like dresser thing. But then she says later that she rehearses her routine in that hotel room. And I'm like, with what space?
I think it makes sense.
I think Tay, maybe she like looked up, like she Googled like, you know, Hilton Garden or whatever.
Hilton Garden
in the and like just looked at a picture of a hotel room and then was like, okay, there's 2 chairs, there's 2 beds.
And just immediately put that in the book. She didn't even try to like
And it's like, we are gonna assume that there's 2 beds when you're like staying with your brother. Like
or when you go with Drayton and there's only one. It's the one bed trope. We got to share. Well, technically, she's already done the one bed trope already before they even go to Los Angeles. Guys, we've been talking about this book for so long, and we're not even like halfway through the amount of plot points.
Right.
Yes. Let's like rip through some of these, but like literally though, this book goes so slow. This was the other thing. It was like so slow, and then the last like 100 pages, like 100 things happen.
Yeah. And also she's really bad at building tension, because it would be like a character would say one thing and all of a sudden they were fighting. And I was like, is there no what? It's like
no
0 to 60, and I'm just like, okay, there's a build usually, like, oh, he said something that pissed you off and you do this, and then there's like more going on.
There was no like climax of this book or anything like that. Like, at least they changed that in the movie, but like they didn't have like a 3rd act breakup or like anything like that. Like it was just such a fizzle with all the football stuff. Like I was waiting for the other shoe to drop and just nothing ever came. But he takes her home. Gabby accepts the lunch plans, really hits it off with Josh, and a month passes. And Gabby and Josh are like fully obsessed with each other. They're dating, and they end up going to one of Drayton's away games because obviously Dallas is on the cheer team.
Right.
They win the game. There's an after party, and she doesn't want to go, but he invites her to his room, and she does take him up on that. And they end up walking around the town, and they go to a club, a real club.
Yeah.
Because Drayton knows the bouncer. And they have a sexy dance, and then they end up doing something super bad boy, which is, of course, skinny dipping in someone else's pool. This is something I would have done in high school. And they kiss for the first time, or they like have that like almost kiss.
Yeah, I think it's an almost kiss.
Because the owner of the pool comes out, and surprise, surprise, it's actually his aunt. And he just wanted Dallas to feel a thrill of being bad for one night.
So even in the book, the only indication we have that he is some kind of bad boy is the tattoos, and he smokes cigarettes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the motorcycle. Can't forget the motorcycle.
Oh, sorry, the motorcycle.
Yeah, that's
but then
important.
Even throughout the book, like as he starts dating Dallas, he stops smoking cigarettes.
Yeah.
She's changing him, Shelby. He wants to be a good boy.
He's a good boy, QB.
There's literally, yes, he is, because there's literally nothing else he does. He doesn't drink and drive. He's like really respectful to women, drives her home, like
loves his mom,
like it really like, yeah, there's nothing bad about this guy. Even this, like, he ends up taking her to a outdoor movie, which was crazy because it was like way past midnight.
Yeah.
And they fall asleep together, and they wake up in the park, and then obviously get in trouble because they're not in their hotel rooms, and they get suspended. Actually, this is a bad boy move. I will give him this one thing. They get suspended, and he immediately goes, "Let's go to California."
Yeah.
Babe, how are you buying the plane tickets? How are you buying the hotel?
He's rich.
His parents have money.
His mom owns a skincare line.
An organic skincare line.
And his dad used to be an NFL player or something.
That's right. And his dad, by the way, is named Leroy. And so I was reading this, and again, I think Tay's got a weird thing about race. She definitely doesn't understand racial dynamics in the U.S. because there's some language in here that she uses that it comes off as racist.
Yeah. Yes.
So just Drayton and Leroy, I don't, what are you doing? I get the idea that Tay Marley thinks, like, being a bad boy is, like, having darker skin, because she does constantly describe his olive skin to the point where I'm like, in my head, I was like, Drayton is biracial. His dad's black. Like, I was like, that was how I felt in my heart.
And then they casted Noah Beck. So you're like, nope, guess not.
Right.
And James Vanderbeek.
It's wild to me.
I don't know. I don't know what her game plan was with this.
I think she just she didn't think about a lot of stuff. She didn't know a lot of things, and it was like, this doesn't matter, and didn't even register for her to question it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably not.
Definitely not. They end up going to California, and she doesn't tell her guardian, her older brother Nathan, which again is crazy, crossing state lines.
She leaves a note.
She leaves a note for him, and she just avoids all of his calls, which is, like, honestly rude. It's like, pick up the fucking phone. What is he going to do? He's not going to, like, at this point, what is he going to do?
Right.
But it's raining in LA, of course. Yeah. So they stay in the hotel room.
Classic.
Yeah. Classic LA. Always raining. Yeah.
To be fair, I have gone to LA 3 times, and all 3 times it's been raining.
Okay, next time you book a ticket to LA, when you're thinking of a certain date, don't pick that date.
Yes, right? Yes. I clearly have to pick something different.
Have to be, like, you have to trick yourself, being like, yeah, I'm definitely going February 17th, and then go the week after.
Like, that is weird, but it is, like, poured every single time I've gone, which funny. Is really sad for me.
So my boyfriend went to Cal Arts, so every time Cal Arts was mentioned, I'm like, what, did this happen at Cal Arts? And he's like, no. And I was like, was Cal Arts like this? And he's like, no. Because there's this whole thing about, while they're there touring Cal Arts, they're like, oh, they have these parties where they have these thing where they see who can drink the most.
The talent competition.
To see who can drink the most. And I was like, babe, did that really happen? And he's like, no, that's not real in any way.
Also, that was fucking crazy that they go to the campus and then this tour guide's just, like, hanging out. I was like, oh, you look like a fellow, like, student. Like, are you a prospective student? I'm not doing anything right now. Like, do you need a little tour around campus? Like, just that would never happen.
Well, it literally happens in Wicked when Glinda sees that Fiyero has come to school, and she purposely is like, I can show you around. So that's immediately why I'm like, Cooper is a creep guy. He is not cool.
Yes. Like, the whole homecoming thing is insane.
Literally. What's the most insane thing about the homecoming thing is that it doesn't turn out to be a threat.
It turns out fine.
It's like, Shelby said it perfectly. She was like, he shows up there, and Dallas is like, oh, I think he's just a really good guy. And then turns out he's actually just a good guy. He's just a good guy.
A good guy.
He's not.
That couldn't date. This was also weird. I was like, the arranged marriage of it all, like, that he, the
racial
whole
undertones,
the whole backstory of the ex-girlfriend. Again, we didn't need that. You just needed to say bye, Cooper, and we would never see him again.
Cooper should have never shown up.
It's so weird. You're right, because like, what happens is, like, she goes to Cal Arts to audition in person, right? That's the whole thing, is like, she needs to get this audition or whatever, or to see Cal Arts or whatever. She bumps into this guy, and then, like, they have to go home because Drayton's mom calls and is like, you have to come home.
Thank God there's some adult doing some adult behaviors. And because no other adult gives a fuck. They say blatant sex jokes in front of their like, insane ones. They like hook up in front of their parents. And
dude, Drayton's dad later on sees Dallas's probably her whole boobs,
her entire boobs,
her whole boobs, and is just like, Drayton, breakfast and like walk. Like, what are we doing?
After like that whole trip to California, she meets this guy once. She hangs out with this guy Cooper for just like a tour of the campus. And then he shows up at her door.
Because they've been texting. Like,
in
that's
Colorado.
A broke college student just like getting tickets. Like, aren't you in classes right now?
Like, how does he have her address?
He called
the diner.
And the diner just gave it. I was like,
that
so is an HR violation. Like, if I've ever seen one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because he explains it. He's like, I called the diner and said that, like, I had to send you something or whatever. And I'm like, that's so creepy.
It's so creepy.
So he shows up, and both Drayton and Nathan, right, are like, this is so creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Dallas is the one who's like, no, it's fine.
No, it's okay. I'll
nice guy.
Also, it's like, you're in college. Get away from high school students.
High schooler.
Literally.
That was so weird. And she has that such like a bone to pick with Emily for fucking Lincoln, which is obviously extremely inappropriate. But I'm like, what did you think Cooper was doing? It's like the same thing.
He's taking advantage of you.
Yeah. And then it's so weird that they have the, like, Drayton jealous of her and Josh thing, and then Drayton jealous of her and Cooper thing. It's like, you're so weird. We could have cut a couple of these.
She just kept hitting the tropes, but I think she was, like, testing it out. She was like, okay, which one works better? Answer, none of them. None of them work.
It could have just been one of them. So... yes, they get back to Colorado. A month passes. She says to him, we can't talk, because they have like a few, like they kiss.
They like kiss after playing some truth or dare. And
and she's like, this
really
is too hot and cold. Yeah, but too hot, too cold. And she was like, I actually just like need to focus on school. This is exactly what I was like afraid of happening.
Yeah, because I'm obsessed with you, and that hasn't changed.
So a month passes, and then all of this like Cooper bullshit happens.
Yeah.
And this also didn't, because like we don't have homecoming. We like barely have football, I feel like, in Canada. So you guys will have to explain this to me. But like, it's homecoming, but it's also Halloween.
So that's not usually what happens. This is what Sam was upset about, because it's Halloween weekend, right? So normally what you would have is like the homecoming game would be on a Friday, and the homecoming dance would be the day after on the Saturday night. So the way they arranged it here is that that's all happening on Halloween weekend.
Okay.
So like it's like the weekend before Halloween. So I don't know how they're having a party and a dance, but you know, maybe it's the game, and then that night is the party, and then the dance the next
I do know
night.
that there are some places that do the dance and the game on the same day. Like, it's the homecoming dances after, but not in Florida. But I have heard of it outside of Florida. No, because in Florida, it's like, then you're going to ruin the attendance for the homecoming game. No one's going to come because all the girls are going to be getting ready. And like guys who aren't on the football team are going to be pre-gaming somewhere. and
pre-drinking.
Yeah. So it's like, it's not usually how it happens. But like homecoming is a less formal dance also. Like, it's not prom, right? You're usually wearing cocktail dresses. It's like a little more chill, low budget, if you will. But... this whole series of events makes no sense.
The timeline was so confusing to me, because she ends up going to this Halloween party dressed in Drayton's number and his favorite NFL team, the Dallas Cowboys. Her name is Dallas. Like, we don't have to even
don't acknowledge it.
Yeah, which is also crazy that he never at one point says, when they get introduced, like, oh, your name's Dallas. Oh, like my favorite football team. That doesn't happen.
But he also, like, she has no idea who he is, but apparently he knows who she is. Like, he's been watching her. What are you talking about? Like,
and also, if you're on the cheer squad, you know every football player, and vice versa, because you are going to away games and you're at their home games. There's like all of those.
You guys are basically teammates.
Yes. Like, none of that made sense. I was glad that they switched it in the movie where she, like, transfers.
Yes. That makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
But she, like, also is, like, kind of, like, weirdly entertaining this Cooper idea.
Yeah.
But also being like, well, I'm wearing his jersey so I can, like, get back together with him or whatever. Like, that was weird.
If anyone's hot and cold, it's Dallas.
Right.
I feel like Drayton's been pretty clear from day one.
Actually, thank you. Thank you for saying that.
He's been like, I like you. And she's like,
yeah.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Can neither confirm nor deny her, like, weird intentions of going there to, like, get Drayton back. But then Cooper is also there dressed as Johnny or what's his name?
Jack Sparrow.
Jack Sparrow. And, like, for what reason? Also, a Dallas Cowboys jersey as your costume is really fucking lame, Dallas. Like, that's...
Yes.
At the very least, you could have dressed as a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader. At least that's an actual costume.
That's a costume, right.
Or you could have dressed as, like, a football player. Like, put in some cute little baby shoulder pads and some lines on your face. And, yeah, you're a football player now.
Hold
so
the
lame.
helmet under your arm.
There you go. Grab a football, a helmet.
And this is also fucking weird because Drayton plans to ask her to homecoming even though they haven't talked for a month. Yeah. He just decides, like, and also the homecoming's the next day. So how would that work?
But then he doesn't because he finds out that Cooper's taking her to homecoming, and it's like, what?
It makes no sense. But they end up going to homecoming, the fucking creepy ass college student and Dallas, and Dre tells Cooper what corsage to buy her because he noticed that her favorite flowers are lilies because she draws them on her notebook. And
it's like he sees me.
Yeah, he also remembers, like, the colors of her clothing, but to the extent that, like, Drayton remembers when she wears champagne and rose gold. No, he doesn't.
Nobody does. No, but not even no 17-year-old boys. Nobody.
Nobody. Is gonna be like, I love that rose gold dress you were wearing.
That is so fucking painful to me. That was so painful to me.
Yeah.
But he like follows her outside at one point and they like end up kissing. And then she goes, like, this is like, I don't know how many times I can say that this is horrific writing. Drink every time I say horrific. But they end up reconnecting, making out, and then she's like, sorry, I can't do this. I'm with Cooper right now. Girl, this is everything that you've wanted for the last month. You wore his jersey or whatever to this fucking party.
And you keep you keep saying that you and Cooper are only friends.
It's so annoying. So Cooper sees them kissing, finally leaves, gets the fucking hint, and goes.
And he's so chill about it because he's like, yeah, I was using you to get over a girl who got arranged married. So,
yeah.
Left me.
So bad.
Oh,
but
God.
Dallas and Drayton do end up talking, and she admits that she likes him. He's like, yeah, I like you too, and I actually want to date you, but also this other thing's happening where Emily, kind of my ex-fling, who is the head cheer captain, where her mom is also the head coach.
Yeah.
But her mom never shows up to anything.
So the mom is straight up not in
there.
this book. He's like low key, she's like blackmailing us, like, because she's jealous and wants to date me. So her mom will like ruin our college chances if we continue. And so they end up deciding to date in secret.
Yeah,
Classic.
Why not? And Drayton he defends Emily, this girl. He's like, her home life is hard. Which is like, but then again, we do not see that.
No. And also it's like, why?
And also,
like, we don't care.
And also, like, who you're talking to? Like, Dallas literally doesn't have parents.
Literally.
And yet she's not horrible to every single person she interacts with.
Literally.
Oh, God.
Okay, this is an exact example of what we've been talking about this whole time. Dallas walks home from something again in the cold and dark, and Drayden sees her Drayden sees her and goes and picks her up, and then he's pissed. So this is the third time that she's been walking home from somewhere. There's no buses. Buses don't exist.
No, not in Castle Rock. No way.
Taxis, no. Like
just Uber and walking.
And walking.
Or Drayton's motorcycle.
Dallas does in fact have a car though, but her and her brother split
they
it.
share it.
Yeah.
But you would think, hey, I'm your older brother and you're working tonight at a diner.
And I'm just hooking up with a girl, at our house.
And this whole time, I was like, are we going to find out that, like, Nathan's actually doing something else, something more important, or, like, things are more serious? No. Nope.
He's just
not at all slut.
Like,
nope.
Yeah.
He's just a little slut the whole time.
In the movie, they made him gay.
They did.
Which I loved. I was like, fuck yeah, let's do it. Fun fact, the actor that plays Nathan in the movie is also the lead male character in another Wattpad adapted movie called, like, something Boot Camp.
I really want to watch Boot Camp.
It actually was way better than this fucking any of this. It was not good, but it was way fucking better than all this shit. But he plays like the love interest in that, which I was like, hey, that's the same guy. He's just racking up these Wattpad.
Do it. It's iconic, to be honest.
But the difference between this time with her walking home and Drayton finding her and the other two times that it happens is now this time he goes and yells at Dallas's brother and gets in his fucking face about it.
Yeah.
And it's like
can
you
people
don't
not
do
make
that.
a little mistake? Like,
dude, he was literally running out of the house to because he forgot and he just remembered. So he was going to go pick her up. It would have been all of 10 minutes late probably. But it's also wild because later on, Dallas and Nathan have that argument where she's like, well, you're never fucking here. Never see that. There's never a moment where a moment where Dallas is like home by herself and is like, damn, I really wish my brother was here. Not a single second. She's off with her fucking boyfriend. She's off with Drayton 99% of the time. Totally. How would she even know that Nathan's not there? Literally,
that makes no sense.
Insane.
And then, like, third time's the charm, because finally Drayton has to, admit, he opens up to her a little bit and is like, here's why this is happening, because I had a twin sister who got abducted and murdered when she was walking home from a party, because I didn't wake up to walk home with her.
And because we were going to a party at 11 years old. That was also really weird. And also, your parents let you go to a party and then walk home alone at 11 years old. Okay, this shows you how bad the writing is that I didn't care. I literally was like, okay. A child got murdered and I didn't even blink. I was
it's
like, okay,
really
next page.
Horrific too, because she even describes what happened to this kid, how they found her body. And I'm so glad they changed it in the movie, because they're like, we don't need to go into that detail. In the movie, they're just like, she wandered away and no one ever saw her again.
I did not even remember that.
That's what he's like, yeah, she wandered away and then we never saw her again. That was the last time I saw her, Yeah. And so it's like she disappeared. They don't go into details about it.
But the thing is that because, to your point, Tori, I also didn't give a shit that he had a dead sister, because I was like, there are so many plot points that I'm already having to keep track of, so many names that I'm having to remember, and how they're connected to any part of this fucking story, that I'm like, okay, dead sister, cool, throw it in the fucking pile of plot points that are never actually gonna come up again. Because like Shelby said, third time's the charm. We finally understand why he's so weird about her walking home at night. And then it's like, okay, yeah, I have a dead sister. Cool. I'm not going to be an asshole anymore, I guess.
Totally. And it's weird that they moved from Texas to this town and then just hid the fact that their daughter died.
Yeah. That is weird.
That seems like the start of a horror movie where the parents are the murderers or something.
It's giving John Benet Ramsey.
Very much that, yes. But she's like, I love that you're opening up to me. She's like, I love this guy. And they have sex for the first time. And everything's going really well because, she kills her Cal Arts audition. Time passes and they go back to school in January. There's a point where Dallas is at school and needs to grab something from the gym. She goes into the gym and she sees Emily having sex with Lincoln, who is one of the assistant coaches, who's 25. She is 17. Instead of fucking screaming and being like, girl, do you need help? Like, what's going on here? She takes pictures of them.
She takes pictures.
That's child pornography, babe.
That is child pornography.
Child pornography, and like she is threatening revenge porn.
Revenge porn. 2 counts against Dallas.
This was so irresponsible, so like unforgivable, to be honest.
Yeah.
And so she goes, if you fucking give Drayden and I a hard time, I'm releasing these photos. She's not like, hey girl, like I'm kind of concerned that you're having like non-consensual sex because this guy's sleeping with a minor.
Right.
Yeah. She texts that in at the end. She's like, hey, I'm going to blackmail you with revenge porn. But also, maybe you shouldn't be hooking up with an older guy.
And I will say, different states have different ages of consent. Tori, the U.S. is not doing well.
Yeah.
But no matter what, if you're working at a school, you cannot have sex with students.
Thank you. That's another point. There's the power dynamics of the school position. Like, yeah, it was so out of left field. The entire story plot with Emily could have honestly been taken out because nothing ends up happening.
Yeah, it's like for one blip of a second, it's what keeps them from like being public about their relationship, but it doesn't even really affect them.
No, because they both agree to be secret. It's not like, I'm keeping you secret because I'm embarrassed by you or whatever. It was like mutually agreed upon.
Drayden's birthday.
Yeah, this is so sad. It's like our son's twin sister died.
So we can never celebrate his birthday again.
We're gonna leave him on his birthday every year so he can get rip-roaringly drunk and be by himself.
Yikes. What the hell? It's wild. His parents go away for his birthday every year because they can't stand that it was also his sister's birthday. You had more kids.
It's so crazy. And she like doesn't know that she gets invited to his birthday dinner, but she has this bad interaction with the dad because he's, again, so stressed out. He needs to go to Baylor University. But then on his like actual birthday, because he has like 3 birthdays. He has the birthday dinner with his family. Yeah. He has his real birthday, and then he has his birthday party. Dallas buys him a star in Abby's name, as well as a telescope to see the star and a lantern to like set free that, like, it was just
so many parts. There were
and
so
again,
many
like,
pieces.
I didn't care. And that's really bad when this is the emotional part of the book. And I just was like, okay, let's get to the party. Like,
yeah, what else is going to happen? Because there are still so many things left to happen.
Yeah. And high schoolers are having a party. It's someone's birthday, so it makes sense that they would get a stripper.
Right. Yeah, of course.
Stripper. I love that Dallas does a keg stand and she's like, people are trying to lift her up. She's like, no, I'm a cheerleader. I got this. She does a full handstand on the keg, which is just like the most ridiculous thing to put in a book. Like, what are you
But I also don't get the relevance of the scene, other than the fact that they needed to like get her drunk so that she could do like the other things at the rest of the party. But like before she does the keg stand, she asks the guy, she's like, okay, what's the record? And they say it's like a minute 23 or something like that. And so she does it, and she only does it for 47 seconds.
She doesn't even beat the record.
But they act like she did. They act like she won.
Again, why did they have any of this? Like, none of this was relevant.
They did kind of say earlier where Dallas has a personality trait that she has told us she has, where if she's drunk, she gets very belligerent. Like, she'll like, you know, she doesn't
fight someone.
She'll fight. Yeah. So she is now very drunk, right? When this stripper shows up.
Yeah.
And is dancing on
Drayden, who clearly, like, she describes for 6 pages how he doesn't give a fuck that this girl is dancing on him, like the good boy that he is, but someone convinces her to push her off.
Yes. So it's because this is why I'm like, Tay Marley's kind of racist, because first of all, Dallas has a friend named Melissa who's black, and every time Melissa speaks, it's in dialect. Tay writes it in like over the top dialect. Doesn't do that for anybody else. And then also, when the stripper is there, Dallas says to herself, she says that I was about to pull someone's fucking weave off.
Oh my God.
This is the point where I sent Sam a voice note.
Thanks for bringing that up. So I was listening to the audio version and I had to rewind because I was like, did I miss that? Like, did I hear that correctly? Yeah. Oh, I heard that correctly.
You did. Yeah. And I was like, okay, maybe Tay Marley's a lot younger than me. Maybe people wore extensions a lot more in high school. When she went to high school, maybe they referred to it as weave. Because in my experience...
in the Laguna Beach days, I guess.
But in my experience, only really black women called it weave. It was weave. If you were, it's extension. Right. So for her to say I was going to pull someone's fucking weave out is very much a racial comment. And it's just wild that no one picked up on that. Was like, let's take that line out.
She 100%. Literally could have said, I'm about to rip somebody's hair out. Like,
totally.
Literally could have just said hair.
Insane. And she ends up pushing her to the floor.
Pushing the stripper to the floor. This poor woman just trying to do her goddamn job.
Literally. Yes. And then she gives him a lap dance and strips, and then he yanks her out of the room and was like, I don't want anyone looking at my girlfriend.
And she's like, I'm your girlfriend?
Yeah. She was like, and he was like, I would have asked for it in a better way, but
you're drunk, and this is the circumstances. Yeah. And then they have sex.
He does a big proposal for her.
Very silly.
She gets accepted into Cal Arts, and he admits that he hasn't sent in his letter of intent to Baylor because he's considering going to UCLA. And I guess that this is supposed to be the third act breakup, but she's like, you shouldn't change your plans just for me. She's right. And he's like, I will anyways. And then they have a fight, but then they like immediately break up when Nathan's like, I feel like me like hooking up with randos and like not prioritizing like I guess like relationships has rubbed off on you. And they make up, they say I love you for the first time. They go to prom, and unfortunately this is where we find out that Gabby is pregnant.
This is so wild because Dallas looks at Gabby, sees that Gabby has gained a little weight, so her dress is tighter than it was when she bought it, and then noticed that Gabby was mildly nauseated at some point.
Yep.
And then immediately Dallas is like, oh my God, Gabby is pregnant.
Literally, the minute that happened, I wrote pregnant in my notes.
Right,
I was like,
right.
pregnant? And I was like, oh, please don't do this to me.
Poor Gabby.
Listen, I will say at my reader preference, I fucking hate when characters end up pregnant. It's like my least favorite thing. If it happens, if I'm reading a book and it happens, I'm immediately turned off by the book.
Same. Unless it like makes sense.
Even then.
99% of,
this
even when it makes sense, I'm like, this is not a story for me.
Because
that's fair.
Oh my God. They go to get a pregnancy test. Gabby can't even read the pregnancy test right.
The apparent, like, genius.
The girl who does Dallas's homework for her. What are you talking about? And she's the one who has no idea that this could be happening. It's just the wildest pregnancy reveal.
Yes, that pissed me out too, because, she's like, she mistakes the one line for two lines or whatever. But you're right, because, like, Dallas is like, well, when you have sex, you like are using condoms, right? Or are on the pill or like whatever. And she's like, not every time. Huh? Like,
but also,
do you want to get pregnant?
But also, I think the most like insane part of this whole section with the pregnancy is that when Gabby misreads the pregnancy test and then she thinks it's negative, she's disappointed.
Yeah.
What fucking 17, 18-year-old is disappointed by like, that's what I'm saying. This was written with like adults in mind, because I can totally see that if it's like, if we age these characters up to be like, you know, not late 20s, early 30s, mid 30s, and they think they might be pregnant with the man that they're in love with, and they find out they're not. Like, that makes sense. Yeah.
To be
like,
disappointed.
To be disappointed, 100%. But like teens?
Also, it's like they got together around October. This is before graduations. This is prom. So it's
like
April.
So it's like you guys have been dating for like 6 months. Like,
yeah. And clearly she ends up with Nathan anyway. So
right in the second.
I need to read on. Like, I need to read that.
You need to read and give us the tea.
Yeah,
Tori.
please do.
I will, because it's like, what happened? Like, what happened in between all of this?
Yeah. What did Josh do? How did he fuck that up?
Is he in Canada now?
Is he
did
dead?
he leave?
Yeah. Did he die in a fire?
He died in a fire.
A girl can hope that he died in a fire.
For graduation, they decide to keep the baby, and they have it, I guess. But
yeah,
we like basically never hear about it again. But Drayden, they graduate. Drayden gets Dallas a motorcycle, which again,
yeah, it's like
you're 18. She goes to college. She goes off to college. They have their tearful, like, I guess they say goodbye, but he's supposed to see her off at the airport.
He doesn't show up at the airport.
He doesn't show up.
Yeah. Because, surprise, surprise, he's on the plane, and he actually is going to UCLA.
Which, how did she miss him getting on the plane?
She was too busy with her family members at the gate.
At the gate somehow.
At the gate. And, like, again, it was just like, why didn't you just tell her? Like, I don't...
Yeah, what kind of horrible prank is that?
Yeah, it's like, I made you miserable for the entire summer because you thought we were going to be apart, and we're just not.
Yeah, really silly.
Okay, and then there was like an epilogue kind of thing,
which is one of the funniest things in the book, because yes. We talked about just how living in LA, the epilogue thing is like, oh, it's their senior year, things are great, and he admits that he crashed into her car on purpose in the beginning of the book.
Yeah.
Wild.
Which I'm surprised, Tay, I'm surprised you remember that far back that happened.
Yeah.
But then he takes her to an apartment, and he's like, this is our apartment now. It's halfway between CalArts and UCLA. He says it's 15 minutes from CalArts and 20 from UCLA. It's not.
Spoiler alert. It's definitely not.
It is
Spoiler
prohibitively too far from both of those places.
No, that was so weird. And then he's like, I want to get this apartment. And she's like, yeah. And he's like, well, you haven't even seen it. And she's like, well, I trust you.
Guys, it's been 2
so
years.
weird.
So maybe, like, you know, he's grown. He's matured. He's shown himself. No, absolutely not. It's ridiculous. From start to finish, this book is absolutely ridiculous.
Very
no,
silly.
I know. Let's just talk about some of the movie thing, like if there was any, again, highlights and lowlights, and then we can do a round table discussion of them both together. But the movie, they changed, Shelby, you mentioned this, they changed the name to Sidelined, The QB, and Me. Why do you think that they, like, changed it? Just because the book title is bad? Like,
probably.
Yes. I think, well, I think that there's so much in the novel that doesn't work as a legitimate story that they had to change a lot to make it work as a movie. Otherwise, you just kind of have a series of scenes that don't really make any sense.
It is truly a completely different entity.
Yeah,
it
completely
like has
different.
the essence. Like there are the moments that they try to tie back to the original novel, but like it's a pretty standard like teen rom-com, you know.
Yeah.
Jock meets new cheerleader and he badgers her for a little bit, and then she realizes he's not like other boys, and then they fall in love.
Yeah, they took out like all the sex.
Mm-hmm.
And they do it like again in the very classic like high school like, are you sure about the like type of thing?
Yeah.
Like, and yeah, so they take out like they take out the pregnancy stuff. They take out so much.
Thank God.
To almost where, to me, and we were talking about this before we started recording, but like, to me, the one thing I will give Miss Tay Marley is I felt like the characters at least had good banter, and like at least we knew stuff about them. I did not know one thing about these characters. Like, there was no character development. Like, there was just nothing about these characters that I, like, if I was just watching this movie without the book, I would have, like, you just don't have any personal connection to any of the characters. Like, it was so fucking bad.
And I think that goes more to, I think it shows more the, like, how we view books differently from movies, right? Because when you're reading, you get to put so much into it. When you're watching a movie, like, someone did the set design, someone did the costuming, someone cast these people. Whereas when you're reading a book, you, the reader, are adding so much to that story and that experience.
Yeah.
And that's why I think a lot of people connect to this as a book, because they're putting their own feelings and everything in there. You're like, I'm connecting to these characters because I can see things that I line up with. And reading is a much more, like, personal, internal experience.
Yeah.
So I would give the credit to you, Tori, and not to Tay Marley, my enemy.
Shelby's enemy. I will say, though, I watched, so, like, really showing myself here, I actually watched the movie when it came out.
No, I know, because I know you texted me.
We talked about it.
I was like, girl, like, is it like,
it's
bad? Like, so bad it's good? And you're like, no, it was just bad.
Not. It was just bad. But I will say, I think it allowed me to really see how bad the book was. I think it's harder when you go book to movie than movie to book. I always prefer, like, when I was a teen, I wanted to read the books first before I ever saw any movie adaptations. And then I realized what a disservice I was giving myself, because if you do it the other way around, and watch the piece of media before reading it, you actually just make the movie better. Like,
I completely agree.
Yeah, because it gives it more context. You're like, oh my God, in that scene when they did, unless it's completely different. Like, I could talk for 8 million years about how the movie version of The Duff is way worse than the actual book, but I also love the movie. They're very different, completely different. But yeah, I think it just enhances it. So like when I watched it, and I watched it a while ago before I started reading the book, I was like, is this what the movie was? Like, there were so many extra plot points that I was like, was this what the movie was about? I don't remember any of this.
And like, for a girl that has no imagination, sometimes it helps to watch the movie first, because then you can like picture, like, you just picture
Noah Beck,
the cast or whatever. Yeah, Noah Beck. Which, like, you guys, like, I know that this is so sad, and we just talked about like people dating minor or like sleeping with minors, and this feels like that situation because he's 23 and I am 32, but for some reason he's so hot.
That is so interesting. I saw him and I was like, this is the guy that everyone's
I want to say, so the movie is on Tubi, so everyone can watch it for free.
Yes.
Love
Came
Tubi.
out November. Love Tubi.
Love it.
No notes. Really.
Love Tubi.
It came out November 29th, 2024. It stars Noah Beck, Sienna Agudong, and James Van Der Beek. And Noah Beck is probably, other than James Van Der Beek, obviously, would be, I feel like, the, Gen Z star of this. Yes. And he was a TikToker that famously was in like, one of the TikTok houses, and then dated Dixie D'Amelio. So I watched him a little bit on the Charlie and Dixie D'Amelio show.
Yeah.
The D'Amelios, I think.
Yeah.
And then because on Hulu.
Yeah.
And I really liked him. I actually think he seems like actually, and I would never give a man an ounce of credit in this, truly
could never be me. Yeah.
would never give a man the benefit of the doubt or whatever. He actually seems like a kind of a sweet guy. Like his scenes with Dixie and stuff like that, he actually seemed like a decent guy. And he's really candid. He's about his fame. He's always like, I don't know why I'm famous. I just like did some dances on TikTok and like I'm just kind of rolling with it. Yeah. He also like really like was trying hard to be an actor. Like he was like always posting clips, going to classes, like, And I don't know, I like respect that hustle.
I think in this movie he's actually really charming, and that's why I say I like the movie more than I like the book, because I don't think Drayton Leahy book version is, he's just, to me, seems just very crass.
Yeah,
and like
so
annoying.
Crass. And I like some like dirty banter.
I love
and
a banter. But time and place, babe. Like, he does not
time
know.
and place.
Not
like
in front of your own mother.
Not in front of your own mother, but also like the whole thing with like asking Josh who's the better kisser. Like, he just wanted them to leave. So instead of just being like, hey, me and my girl want some alone time, he was like, let me make my friend and his pregnant girlfriend really fucking uncomfortable so that they'll just leave. Like, it doesn't make any sense. And I think at least in the movie, Noah Beck adds a little bit of charm. Like, he has his little smirk and his little winks, and like some of the lines do come off really cringe, but like you can tell that he's a little more earnest. When he's
charming, like I actually think he's charming in real life, and I think like when he had charming lines, I think he actually seemed like a good actor. I think the rest of the acting was like, was bad.
It was Disney Channel. It was like Wish.com Disney Channel acting.
I liked Gabby. I thought Gabby had the acting down. The lead, she seemed like maybe she was more dancer than actor, and that's why they cast her, even though they didn't end up giving her very much dancing to do, except for some weird hand things that you see her doing during audition.
Like, okay, Wicked / Save the Last Dance.
Yes.
Yeah.
And her voice was she didn't enunciate or project the way you would expect an actor to.
Yeah. She kind of reminded me of, did either of you ever watch that Disney Channel movie Starstruck?
No.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
With the guy from, he was on, oh God, what was that show?
He's
Sunny
the
with a
blonde
Chance.
Guy. Yes.
That guy, the girl in that movie is who this girl reminds me of. And the whole time I was like, did she just never age? Is she like a vampire? Because that movie was like 10 years ago, I don't even know, probably longer, 10, 15 years ago when that movie came out. I was like, did she just like come back into acting, pretend she was a different person? But yeah, she was really garbled.
I know. She also was like, I think flat. Like she just was really, go girl, give us nothing. Truly. But the whole reason that I wanted to cover this with you guys is because this movie filmed in the city that I live in, Victoria, BC.
No way.
And like, so I live on Vancouver Island in British Columbia in Canada. And it's like 300,000 people. And since it's on Vancouver Island, like it's kind of random. Like, and so just like having a movie, and they actually film a lot of Hallmark stuff here. They did a lot of Twilight stuff, but just to have such a big production here. So that's how I found out about this, because Noah Beck, he made a TikTok. It like randomly came up on my TikTok page, probably because of he was staying at a hotel like a 5-minute walk from where I live.
Wow.
So maybe it was like,
you could have had your Noah Beck moment without the creepy. No,
trust me, me and some of my girlfriends, we were like going to, he would like post like Crust Bakery, like places that I go. He would go to Habit Coffee. Like he would go to places I frequent, and I never bumped into him, but he posted a TikTok of him unloading groceries in his hotel room. And it's this grocery store chain that's from here specifically. And I was like, what is Noah Beck doing in Victoria, BC? And then I found out he was doing this Wattpad movie. And it was just so fun. Like the exterior of the school was this like community center, pool, library kind of building that I know, and just like seeing all the shots, like the football field is like a field I drive by like once a week. Like it's just the house that I'm actually gonna go try to find it this weekend. That house is, I swear to God, really close to where I work. So I'm gonna just like walk this weekend around and see if I can find it.
Not weird.
Not creepy at all. But like the house that Dallas lives in.
Yeah.
But it was just so fun to see, like, just like the little things, like, it's in this neighborhood where they paint all of their telephone poles halfway up. It's just unique to this neighborhood. They paint all of them different artists or families or like whatever all over this little neighborhood. And so when I saw that, I was like, oh, that's so interesting. Like it was just the little things.
I love that. Honestly, like when I find out that things have been filmed in places that I know, I get really nerdy and excited about it. I know that the movie Sydney White with Amanda Bynes was shot a lot at my college. And so like there's that scene at the very end where there's like the marching band and they're playing like a fight song or whatever. They're out in front of, they're literally on my lawn, like my college lawn. And it's so funny too, because the fight song they're playing is actually, so I went to Rollins College in Winter Park, Florida. The fight song that they're playing is the University of Central Florida fight song, which is a school that I went to for my first 2 years of college. So like, I remember watching it and being like, oh my God, I know this song. I know where they are. And it just, I don't know, you feel
it's
like
so exciting.
Yeah. Even with LA, when like movies film here, I try to be like, wait, I know where that is. Like,
I know that bridge.
Yes. I've been by that bridge.
Yes. It's the same. And like, cause the X-Men, like the exteriors were filmed here. Like there is some like pretty popular movies that have filmed here, but this one in particular, cause it was a romance with Noah Beck. I loved it.
Yeah.
It was just fun to like follow him, and Tay Marley came here. Should have hunted her down. Right? She was really involved with the movie.
For Shelby. Yeah.
But just like seeing that, like, I don't know, was just really fun for me.
Yeah. I love that.
So, okay, let's do our roundtable discussion and then we can wrap up. So,
sick.
Our internet investigation. This is our cursory peruse of the internet of things you need to know. Honestly, you girls, I feel like, did all of the internet research for me. But I will say that this book, because it was so popular, it was read like 28 million times or whatever. But when Wattpad, because as we've discussed, it is like for amateur authors to just publish their work on the internet chapter by chapter and get comments on it, they decided to have like an actual publishing house where they would like traditionally publish the books. And this was the first book that they chose to do. So that is like out of everything on Wattpad.
Yeah.
That is nuts. Like that just shows you how popular this book was.
Right. It was really popular. People really liked it.
Really liked it. So they like re-released it as a like proper book on August 13th, 2019. And they decided to edit out nothing.
Clearly. Not a damn thing.
Not a damn thing.
They were like, no, perfect as is. We love it. That's insane. Because I know that the Wattpad like production company is fairly new, but they actually have a lot of movies that they've made.
So many. Boot Camp, obviously the whole After series, the Tearsmith, Float, like they are like.
There's also that one with like the boxer chick. Oh God, what is it called?
Oh yes.
It's with the guy from 13 Reasons Why, whose name is totally escaping me right now. But like I've watched that, which that one is also awful. So if anyone wants to watch it and talk about it with me, I would love to.
It just makes sense though. Like it makes sense. Why wouldn't they be capitalizing off this?
No, yeah, of course. I interviewed with them a while back for a job and they did not hire me, but they were really fucking weird. I'm just going to put that out there. I was told in one interview, like I had a great chemistry with one of the interviewers and we were going back and forth and talking about all this stuff. And then she told me some certain things about like it being remote and all this kind of stuff. And then I met with like her superior who like completely contradicted every single thing the person before her told me. And then like made it seem like I didn't know what I was talking about.
Oh, no.
I was like, girl, I was on Wattpad at like 14 years old. Do you think I don't know what I'm talking about?
Know my shit.
Hello?
Yeah.
And that interviewer was Tay Marley.
She took her mask off and it was fucking Tay Marley. And she knew that one day I would get on a podcast about her book and I would fucking trash it the whole time.
Apart. That is so funny. Okay, God. These are our Wonder Whys, our unanswered questions for the listeners. We've talked a lot about these, like why doesn't she take dance classes at a studio outside of her school? Why are all the adults okay that their kids are fucking in their house? like
that's just how it is in 2017 or 2019 or whatever. This
like Drayden, I think in the book makes a comment literally about going to go have sex with Dallas, and his mom was just like, "Come on, Drayden, like not at the dinner table." Like,
He's a bad boy.
Weird. Yeah. I also thought, as much as I was obsessed with Noah Beck, I would say in the movie, why did he look so sweaty all the time?
Because that's what bad boy QBs do.
But there was a point where he is like doing push-ups or something, and his dad comes in to talk to him. So maybe maybe he's just always doing push-ups just off screen, just before the scene starts.
Also, why was James Vanderbeek in this film?
Literally.
What was the point of that? The dad is basically a non-factor
entity.
Like, he comes in to be like, you should go to that school. But, like, they made him a real character who, like, interacted with other people. And I was like, okay. Weird, but okay. Why not? We never see his, or no, we do see his mom.
Your career's not doing well if you're going to go film a Tubi original in Victoria, BC, I would say. So.
Maybe it's a passion project. Maybe he really loves Wattpad. He loves the QB.
But, like, honestly, if you really think about it, going back to, like, another Wattpad book that got turned into a movie, the After series, they pulled some heavy fucking hitters for the adults in those movies.
Yeah.
Selma Blair, Peter Gallagher, like
even the Sprouse twin is in it. Okay, but also that movie was set like 7. There were 7 in the series, so maybe he was like, QB and me could be another 7 movie deal.
He sees the future of Sidelines, the QB and me.
Help. I do love that, speaking of the fact that there are so many books in that After series, the dad changes in every single film. Like, they couldn't would get these heavy hitters and then they couldn't keep them for like the rest of it.
Also, the stepbrother or whatever.
Oh, yes. Landon.
Yes. Yeah. He changes too. I think twice.
It's insane. It makes
so funny.
No sense, but I love it. I love talking about the dumbest shit ever made and consumed by me. It's my favorite thing.
Truly. Okay, our gripes and grumbles. These are nitpicky problems we had with the book and the movie. This was really nitpicky. They go to that bar and he orders a drink for her and it's a passion fruit martini. Again, it was just like, that's why I thought it was written by a 16-year-old, because it just seems like what I would have thought was like hot and like adult.
Yeah.
Like
cosmopolitan. Yeah.
Yeah.
But what? Dallas doesn't even, she's like, I don't want a fruity drink like that. She drinks the beer because she's not like other girls.
She was so pick me. Like, the keg stand and like, and like throwing the ball and stuff like that. I was like, okay, girl, like fucking chill.
Yeah.
Dude, just insane. And I think like everything that had to do with the brother made no sense to me. They shared a car.
Yes.
And she got it to go to school and he carpooled, but then he got it on the weekends, but she worked late nights on the weekends. So what?
That is a level of detail in a side character that I do not give a shit about.
We don't need. Just like we don't need the entire hotel room described of not even hotel in general of every single time they stay in a hotel.
Okay, I don't think we've actually talked about this, because he had the tattoo that I think we only saw once, like the bird tattoo.
Yeah.
But the other ones on his arms were some of the worst fake tattoos I've ever seen in my life.
Also, did he have a hickey, or was that like supposed to be a birthmark or something?
No, he was supposed to have a hickey because he
looked
was the
like
bad boy.
It looked like a kiss tattoo. Like he got a kiss with like red ink or something to make it look like a scar. And I was like, is he just unbathed? Is that dirt? don't. I don't
He needs
understand
a wet wipe.
that. I think he needs a wet wipe.
It's so bad.
Yeah.
I also hated when he put her AirPod in his ear.
Gross.
In the class. I was like vomiting at it.
Please, no one put my AirPods in your ears.
I was like, that is so out of pocket. And then like there was no payoff. There was no like need for that. It was so weird.
Yeah. I also, what I really, going back to the Gabby of it all, our poor girl, justice for Gabby. But like the fact that her mom was okay with her being a teen pregnant person. But again, like she's not allowed to go out. She has to lie to her mom about going to that club, and like she's spending the night at Dallas's house, all this stuff, to then just have her pregnant and her mom be like, okay, that's cool.
And also, like, can we I know I'm asking way too much, but could we just like talk about the option of abortion?
Yeah.
Right.
Like they didn't even like have a one-off comment of like, do you want to talk about your options? Like it was just like, I'm having this baby. Like,
yeah.
I think maybe Tay Marley didn't think abortions happened.
Yeah, she didn't want to go that way.
But she wanted to go with the child abduction
and murder and sexual assault. Yeah. So much tamer. That Tay Marley.
The assistant coach having sex with an underage person, but she won't talk about abortion.
Wild.
Like, it really is like she looked at every single trope in existence for rom-coms and she was like, how many of these can I stuff into this plot?
Unfortunately,
multiple
400-page book. Yes.
Literally, when you suggested this for us to read, I was like, oh, okay, it's probably like a short. It can't be that long, right?
I was going to say this at the top of the episode, but I just want to thank both of you for not only watching the movie, which was, I think like 98 minutes, reading a 400-page book, and then talking to me all night. Like, I so appreciate it. Like, because I was asking you to read and watch Hot Garbage. And when I'm on
honestly,
your podcast next week, I get to watch my favorite movie. It's not fair.
No, this was a blast.
Honestly,
I never would have read this book otherwise. So thank you for that. And I read it. I was like, I can do this 100 pages at a time. And I laughed my way through. Every time Drayton's name was on a page, I was laughing. So I had a good time.
Yeah.
I'm so glad.
Honestly, I love, and people always ask me why I like consuming bad media, and I think it's because then it makes you appreciate good media. So like reading a really shitty romance book where I'm like, ew, this was, and I also beta read, like I'm a romance beta reader also.
Yeah, me too.
And so like I'm constantly like oh my God, the urge to be like, no, take this out, or like this doesn't make sense, or like what about this plot thing that you talked about earlier. We could have done
so, like we could have made this book good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because, like, the actual story, like, the brass tacks of the story is a fine story.
Yeah, it's fine. It's nothing revolutionary. Like, it could have been
It's just everything else. Yeah, nothing revolutionary.
It's all the details she put in that make it awful.
It was all the choices Tay Marley made.
Fuck that bitch. Okay, let's wrap up because I want to... This is one last, like... huge question mark that I have, which is the sequel scoop. This is the tea on any upcoming sequel seasons and the general reception. We talked that it was super successful enough to get a movie adaptation, and there is a Wattpad sequel that you can read on Gabby, but there is a published prequel that you can read, and guess who it's about? Drayton's parents?
Drayton's parents?
What?
Why?
They weren't even main characters.
It's called The Summer of '98, and I think it's because it's another sports romance.
Oh.
So it's when they met when he was, I guess, playing football. But
For Baylor?
For Baylor. But, like, there was not one fucking minute in this book that I thought, oh, I want to know more about them. Or, like, or even, like, oh, I like them. No. Or, like...
No, not a single solitary moment. And like I take a lot of pride in when I read books that I can, if I know that like this is an author who likes to do series, I like to be able to predict which one. Like they're really fucking obvious. Like I'm not doing anything.
Especially in romance. No, I love that. Like when it's like, oh, it's gonna be the brother. Or whatever.
This character. But you coming and telling me that the prequel was his parents, could not have guessed that from a mile away. Years. No. Oh God, what a time.
What a goddamn time. Any final thoughts on this riveting book?
I think we got it all out,
I will say I had a lot of like pent up, like I had pent up energy, and I did feel like I like exercised a demon from my body.
Absolutely.
Like it actually feels like a relief that I like
got it all out.
This into existence.
Yeah. I appreciate that for you. I will never think of this movie again.
This is the test today. And we can forget.
Yeah, exactly. Forget it all. Forget every plot point. I'm done. But I will say, Wattpad, keep making shit because I'm having a great time with this awful fucking movies.
Yes. With all of that being said, I would watch anything Wattpad produces. Like, seriously, give me 10 more of them. Like,
dude,
truly.
They know their fucking market. They know exactly what they're doing. Even if it's awful, they know. They know what they're doing.
Yeah, that we're all locked in.
Locked in, man.
Okay, this was so much fun.
Amazing.
I had a blast. Shelby and Sam, can you tell the listeners where they can find you and anything else you want to plug?
Yeah, you can head on over to our website, theromcomplex.com. And from there, you can get links to all of our episodes and all of our social media and also our Patreon, patreon.com/theromcomplex.
Hell yeah, we have some really great stuff on there. We've got mini episodes. We've got watch-alongs every month if you guys want to hear this banter live. Once a month. We're currently working our way through the Magic Mike series right now, but we have some old ones on different step-ups. So you can check that out on our Patreon as well. And it's really fun.
Love it. Okay, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
And that's the story of the QB Bad Boy and Me. Thank you so much for listening. And thank you to Sam and Shelby for joining me on today's show. If you can believe it, because I truly cannot, it has been 1 year of Ready to Be Romanced. The date really snuck up on me. Like I didn't even remember until, when those like iPhone memories pop up. And usually it's like the worst moments of your life that are now a slideshow. But this was a good memory, and it was recording the first episode of RTBR. And I just want to say thank you so much. This podcast is truly nothing without the listeners. Thank you for sending me memes and your opinions, submitting questions, telling me which books to read, and just being a fun little community. I feel like that has been truly the best part. There's been so much that I'm grateful for, that I got back into reading, that I started reading romance in 2020 or 2019 or whenever it was. I've benefited so much, like in numerous ways. Maybe I'll do a bonus pod on that. But definitely, I think one of the things that will have like profound lasting impacts on me is just the people I've met and like the community that I have online. Like it's so fun. And in real life, like it's so fun to talk to my best friends about books they're reading or what we liked about them, what we didn't, and getting new suggestions from people and just hearing other people's opinions, the hilarious TikToks and memes. I just feel so lucky. So thank you so much for being here. If this is your first episode, or if you've been here for all 42, I so appreciate you. I also have been seeing a lot of people reading Onyx Storm. I hope you are having a great time. Mason and I just started it. He is on chapter 9. I'm on chapter 3. We'll definitely be covering it maybe the end of Feb or early March. So we'll have a little bit of time to simmer with all of our thoughts. And I really cannot wait to talk about it. He's already messaged me and he was like, I already have a list of gripes and grumbles. And I was like, parfait, cannot wait to hear all of them. And if you have some, you can send them to me. Just put a little spoiler tag for which chapter you're talking about. Okay, friends, as usual, you can follow me on socials at Ready to Be Romanced. And if you haven't already, subscribing to the podcast on Spotify or Apple Podcasts and leaving a rating and review is really helpful for the podcast to find new listeners. And I said this a few weeks ago, but I am trying to hit 100 reviews in 2025, so help me reach my goal. You can also suggest a book or leave a voicemail with a question for a future episode via the links in the episode show notes. Our next episode is Funny Story. Until then, happy reading for Ready to Be Romanced. I'm Tori. Goodbye.